Just to start with, I go through a little bit about the program and then I go into the topic after that, but I'll keep you updated. Welcome to all the new people. So this will probably be the last time I'll go through this beginning bit, and I will go through it for those people who have been before a little bit quicker. So you're on a Apex Health medical weight loss program, and Apex are providing the fully subsidised GLP-1 medications to veterans that are eligible for the program. With this, you can have some support while on the program. So you have to be plugged into a lifestyle program. So you've got either 12 sessions with an allied health professional, dietitian, but they have to be face-to-face, and sometimes it's a bit challenging. So this webinar series also provides you with the opportunity to have some support while on this medication. And there's other things that you can access as well. If you contact us at contact@apex.au, there is other things as well, such as exercise physiologists, you've got EPs, you've got dietitians, you've got counselling for psychology and other things as well. So just let us know if you need it. So the presentation overview, a refresh on what your GLP medication does for you. Our mindfulness topic, another subtopic of that is intuitive eating. And then we have an exercise with a raisin that I've asked you to bring along. So that'll be just 5 minutes at the end. And we have our recommendations, questions and answers as well. So medications, I'll zip through pretty quickly. So our GLP-1 medication works on our pancreas, and it increases it works on a few organs. So firstly, the pancreas secreting insulin, which helps us digest and absorb all the sugars and glucose that we eat. It works on the liver. So on its own, the liver will produce more energy or glucose if the body needs it, but it will decrease, the medication actually decreases this production, so uses what we get into the body and not making its own. It delays the gastric emptying, so that will help us absorb more nutrition and make us feel a little bit fuller for longer. And it works on the brain, so it gets rid of the food noise and increases our satisfaction with our foods. Side effects, unfortunately, are common with the medication, and they can include nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, constipation, reflux, and some fatigue. The good news is, though, that they are often, even though they're unpleasant, often temporary, and a lot of the time they can improve as your body adjusts to the medication. So as you go up, you might get a little bit more of those feelings, and then they'll sort of ease out a little bit. But you guys will all know that more than I will as you go along. But management strategies are really important. So some tips are shrinking your meals and having small meals more regularly to get the nutrition in. Trying not to skip meals. It's really important not to, even though we might not feel as hungry. Ensure you're getting your water. That's huge. 2 litres is fantastic, but amazing if you get to 3, and that will just help with absorption and also helping with bowels. Enjoy a wide range of plant-based foods, getting that fibre in and lots of nutrition. Limit the high-fat foods, and that's just to help with reflux and also the satiety part of it. You'll start to feel more full having that high-fat food. So eat slowly and get used to your new normal smaller meals, and so you're not overfull, and stop eating when you're comfortably satisfied to avoid some of that uncomfortable feelings. Just a note that it says 20% of individuals taking the GLP-1 medications become malnourished. So it is really important to get that support if you need it. Dietitians, even if you're not doing the 12 visits, but even just as a session, it's individualized advice for nutrition that will be based around what you like and dislike, and also about your symptoms. So that's always a good thing to make sure you're eating correctly and managing those symptoms. Serious note though, remember to watch out for these side effects which are more serious and need doctor's intervention quickly. Gastroparesis, which is not absorbing any of the nutrition that comes in. So you'll either a lot of them have a little bit of a side effect of vomiting, pain in the stomach and abdominals, and also, undigested food and things like that. So gastroparesis, not absorbing anything. Pancreatitis, that's one of the organs that we're working on with the medication, and it can become inflamed, but it's very important, so it must be looked at straight away. Gallstones happen on weight loss if you're reducing the fat in the diet, but just watch out for that pain and get it sorted straight away or diagnosed to make sure it's okay. And then the medullary thyroid cancer, you're actually not able to be part of the program if you have a family history, but if you start to find that you've got any lump or swelling here and, a husky voice or something like that, that's where you might that's the symptoms you might see, and you might just need to check that straight away. Considerations for the effective and safe weight loss. Like, taking this medication is not going to lose the weight. It is simply providing you with the right conditions to do it. Thinking of GLP-1 medications long term, it's not a short fix or a quick fix. Thinking long term, and the doses as you go along will go up, and there might even be a maintenance dose when you do get to where you are happy within your weight. Really important just to think about why it's important to you, and because it is a long journey, and just keeping your eyes on that. Maybe it's to save your knees if they're, you want to lose weight to take the pressure off them and ease pain in your joints, or increase mobility. Maybe you want a longer life and you have a family history of chronic diseases you want to be avoiding, you want to be here longer with your grandchildren, something like that. But having small goals along the journey is helpful too. Helps with motivation, and you know what? Small benefits, small weight losses of only 10 and 5% have big health benefits to them. So don't discount your small wins. And, there's lots of potential to lose a lot more weight. Last one is the meal acronym. You've got muscle maintenance. Make sure you're eating a lot of protein in your meals and doing some muscle building activities in there as well. Energy balance. It's not cut and dry energy balance, but making sure that you're getting the weight loss by watching the foods that are coming in and eating the right things. Avoid side effects. Manage those using the suggestions, and then remember that liquid intake. That's really for your bowels. It's okay to have a smaller amount coming through the bowels, but if it's harder to push and or it's not coming at all and you're finding it hard, get onto it straight away. Those food options of like prune juice and pears and all that sort of thing, or prunes, are really good, but step it up to the Movicol and medications from over the counter or the GP if you need to straight away. All right, now that that's behind us nice and quickly, I will move on to mindfulness. So there we go. I'm getting into the zone as well of deep breath in and a deep breath out. And let's talk about it. So mindfulness, what is it? So reading a whole lot of literature over the time I've been researching, it's a state of whereby we're paying attention to our current moment, and we have an openness and curiosity to what is happening around us without judgment. So this is just the essence of mindfulness. It's there's a limited amount of time where you would sit there with no thoughts going through the brain. There's often, futures and the past and all that sort of stuff. So we call that the monkey mind. As you can see, the monkeys there are like swinging from branch to branch and thought to thought, thinking about doing the laundry. Did I wash the car? What am I having for dinner? Did I turn the oven off? All these things. But it's, sometimes you get along and you don't even know how you got to where you are. But remember that the past has happened in the past, and there's not much you can do about it. It's there, and the future is yet to happen, but we do have the present moment. And focusing on the present moment is the essence of mindfulness, and it is without judgment. So what is happening right now is the mindfulness, and it's taming that monkey and regaining control of the thoughts, focusing on the now. Types of the mindfulness practices. These are not an exhaustive list, but these are some ideas that I have come up with. So I'll get straight into those, and then we can talk about a little bit more about the benefits and stuff as we go on. So breathing practices. Breath is amazing, and it is one of the core components of mindfulness, and it can bring us right into the present moment. So there's a box breath, 4 in, hold for 4, release for 4, hold again for 4 and in, or just deepening the breath. That's one thing to get you calm and present. Nature walks, it's just taking yourself out into the bush or the nature and just being really in the moment. You're not there pounding the pavement trying to get your kilojoules or calories burnt. You're watching the scenery as it goes by, listening to the birds, finding animals, watching your step and being careful. It's just about the enjoyment. Gratitude journaling, there's so much more to it, but it puts you in a positive frame of mind and brings more focus to the good things in your life, and where your brain is, it'll bring attention to more of that. So gratitude journaling is 3 things you enjoyed each day, maybe having a notebook on the side of the bed. The next one is a body scan meditation, Yoga Nidra. They go through, I do it, I love it. It helps me get to sleep all the time. Before I get to the end of my meditation, I'm already asleep and I'm done. But it just goes through every single part of the body, your fingers, your toes, all that sort of thing, your head and all the muscles, just letting go and just fully relaxing into sleep. It's beautiful. Mindful colouring, you can get purpose provided, purposely built the colouring books, but you can also just, if you've got grandchildren who want to colour, you can just get in there and colour with their crayons, and that's sort of mindful too, and you're connecting there as well in the present moment with people while you're doing it. Cloud gazing is wonderful as well. If you're out for a picnic, or even if you don't want to go for a picnic, just take your picnic rug out and just watching the clouds as they go past. My kids do this. I'm not very mindful when I'm driving, but well, I try to be for focus, but you know, they're watching the clouds as they go by and telling me exactly what they see, like a crocodile, or like that looks like an elephant, mummy. And how great is that? Just present moment. And it's also like that analogy of just letting the thoughts go by, not clinging on to them. Those thoughts are very neutral until we cling on to them, keep them in our mind, and assign a sort of an emotion to them, either positive or negative. A sound safari is similar when you're going for a community walk, maybe down around the block. It's listening for maybe sirens in the distance, birds chirping, cars, horns, kids playing, all that sort of thing. And of course, yoga and meditation. But this is not an exhaustive list. And please, if you are doing some mindfulness, love to hear about it. Let us know on the Facebook, or even in the chat you can share. But those are, you know, some ideas for mindfulness. And it's not about a big thing. It's about a small amount of time. The next slide here is about our human emotions, and that's part of our mindfulness. So a non-judgmental approach to life. So the basic human emotions are anger. When they did a study, they studied facial expressions and just the feelings. There's 4 basic emotions, but of course there's way more, but knowing that all of the others just fall into the category. So we've got anger, fear, happiness, and sadness. And these are the 4 basic emotions. All others, like nervousness, will fall under fear, joyful cheerfulness under happiness. You've got irritation, disgust under anger. And they are all really important, and they're sort of like a signal from your body. It's really important to accept them, value them, and then listen to why they're there. But it's not about squishing them down. So well-being is often confused when we're talking about a holistic approach to health. Well-being is often confused by being an absence of fear, sadness, and anger. But in actual fact, listening to these emotions are actually going to help you navigate your life. For example, you've got anger, and that might suggest that someone's overstepping boundaries and you might need to intervene there. Or sadness signals that something might not be right. Maybe sometimes you need to do something, or sometimes a big release could be like a cry or something like that, and that can pass. You don't have to do anything, but it's about, letting those emotions come through the body and keep going. So you're not holding on. So being happy indicates things are going well and you're enjoying things around you. So really just noticing, what is this that you love, and have more of it in your life. It's not here to judge. The mindfulness isn't here to judge good or bad, but thoughts are neutral, and then we place our thoughts into categories. So knowing that emotions are all very real and very valid, mindfulness does not expect us to ignore them and pretend everything is happy and joyful all the time. It actually encourages us to accept them and value them and listen to why they're here. If feelings and emotions aren't validated and accepted or noticed, they have a tendency to just become suppressed or stuck, and they'll stay there. But really important to move through them. So a good idea for emotions is just separating yourself from the thought of it. So giving a different perspective to it and allowing it to pass by like a cloud in the sky. So maybe you have a sensation that says you're hungry, and it's about pushing it past and say, oh, hello, hunger. How can I help you? Another one, if you think, you could say the words, I am angry, and it can give you a bit of a feeling within inside you. But it might give you a very different feeling to experience it separately and say, instead of I am angry, I am experiencing a feeling of anger. And it gives you a perspective and more control over what your reaction to that emotion would be. And I love this slide, and it's a really good example of what acceptance is. So being kind and non-judgmental to all the thoughts that come in. They may pass by, as we talked about, but they may, they might stay, but it's accepting what is without arguing the facts or thinking it should be different. So once you start practicing mindfulness, you sometimes come to realization about how much judging you do, whether it be for yourself, for things, or for others, how many judgments, and it's natural too, but it's just, letting it float past and not ruminating and bringing it into yourself. So mindfulness tames the should and shouldn'ts and accepts things for what they are. So this is beautiful. It says, what is acceptance? So outside is raining. So the first one is it's raining. Someone not practicing mindfulness will be like, oh, I don't like the rain. Oh, I wish it wasn't raining. My day would be so much better if it wasn't raining. This has ruined my day. Every day is like this. It's always raining. Why is it always raining? And I just want it to be sunny. But an acceptance speech or someone practicing mindfulness will walk out the door and say, oh, it's raining. And off they go. There's not all the talk or all the negative or positive emotions there. It's just acceptance of what is. So the benefits of being mindful or practicing mindfulness is being calm and present. And there's lots, physiologically and psychologically. So, you've got deeper breathing, you've got optimal digestion, which we talk about in dietetics, the rest and digest. That's when we start to do our best digestion. It reduces our blood sugar, our heart rate, and our blood pressure, and our immune system works really well while we're relaxed. But psychologically, we are non-judgmental, we feel calm and in control and see a big picture. We're kind and connected with others. And a good tip is that you need to practice mindfulness most when you are stressed and busy. So mindfulness can be as short as a couple of minutes or as long as 10 or 20 minutes, but the practice is just a regular everyday and breathing back into the time, bringing yourself back into the time that you are and the space. So a nice way of explaining it is the brain states. So I read a book while I was doing the research by Dr. Chantal Hosty, and she explained the status as a continuum. So you've got your green brain, your orange brain, and your red brain, and people spend time going throughout these stages. We can move from zone to zone at any time and in a very quick space of time, and things happen. So, in the red brain, just a little, and I will go through each of these, but the red brain is a dopamine, serotonin release. When you achieve your goal, you're running, and you get that, and it's a good thing to feel. But the brain in the green zone, it's kind of like a nice, relaxing, calm, and a rebuilding kind of mindfulness space. So let's go into the red brain. So a state of stress is your red brain. It's like what would happen if you hear a fire alarm and it's going off. You're in your flight or fight. You are ready to go. You've got adrenaline coming out, and you've got, cortisol. You've got tunnel vision because you just need to get out of a space where you feel threatened. Then when all the blood goes to the extremities so you can run and get out there, your digestion slows because all the stomach doesn't have any of the blood to digest. We're just, your blood pressure and blood sugar and heart rates are up. You've got the shallow breathing, you're tensed and you're feeling stress. So in this moment with the red brain, you're usually black and white thinking. You probably won't see the bigger picture and be able to make good decisions because there's always more decisions, but you want to get out of there. It's kind of, not a long-term place you want to stay. The state's very useful though if, say, there is a physical threat It keeps you alive when you're facing danger because your body is in the right frame of mind just to be, running out of there and get away from the threat. So you'll live. However, this state of brain can be triggered even when there's no physical threat and there's not a need to run away. Your thoughts are your important factor. So your brain is really powerful and it will assess the situation and just say you've got a deadline coming, there's lots going on at work and something's coming. You have this feeling that I can't do it and it's a disaster. So your brain just perceives this in the same way as it would a threat external that you have to run away from, and the stress response is activated. So, like I said, cortisol and adrenaline release, but they're not really necessary. Those hormones are to give us fuel in a short space of time and also to, get us running and fast out of there. So the next state of being for the brain is a state of achieving. It's your orange brain. It's quite neutral. It's in the middle ground of the spectrum, and it's a state of achieving, the go-go state kind of thing. It's, you're planning and you're doing and going about achieving your goals. You're setting them and getting them. These can be small things or big things. You can, plan getting your house and make the steps towards that, or it can be like posting a letter. Like it's quite a varied amount of things you can be in the achieving state. So the orange brain is in the area between the green and the red zones. In this zone, you're telling the brain that once you are achieving, you'll make it to the green zone again. So you're kind of there. However, it is the achieving part of the brain, but it doesn't have the negative symptoms of the red brain because you're not under stress and you're not in the fight or flight. So, but it also does not have the benefits that are associated with being in the green brain. Because it is goal-orientated, however, like it can quickly move from orange to red if something prevents you from achieving this goal. Sometimes it's a split second. So, yeah, it is a continuum. Lastly, the green brain is a state of being calm and present. So opposite end of the spectrum to the red brain, which is stressed and reactive. It has low amounts of those stress hormones, but it does release the oxytocin hormone, which is another hormone, and it's called the love hormone, which is wonderful because it makes you feel connected. So it enriches relationships, makes you feel connected and loved. And being in the green brain, it lowers blood pressure, breathing and heart rates. So you're non-judgmental, you're feeling calm, all your muscles are relaxed, you've got a wider vision, you start to see the birds chirping and all that sort of thing, and there's flexibility in your attention. You have optimal digestion and all those blood pressures and blood glucose and, heart rate are all low, and you're digesting really well with those relaxed muscles and the blood flow. So you've got an eye for detail. This is a great place to be in your mindfulness, in your green brain. So spending time is essential for good health. It's not, something to keep for holidays or anything like that. It's some time to have every day to bring your body back into its neutral baseline for your breathing rate and your blood pressure. And it's just a lovely place. So your immune digestive systems work in the best possible way. So when your defenses are down, you've got the infinite resources available to you. You're creative, seeing a bigger picture, relaxed, being productive and making good decisions. So with expressing that compassion and empathy and desire to connect with other one, you're also enriching your relationships with other people, which is an essential part of your well-being. So just a minute, I'll just dive back into the red state or the red brain state, this state of stress. When you're working from this state, you are cognitively working slower. So more mistakes are often leads to more mistakes. It gives you, you overlook the finer details. You don't have the wider view and you're less likely to perform well. So it may feel like you're being productive. However, the performance that you're giving is less than what you would do if you were in a calm state. So keeping in mind when you've got the calm state, you're working smarter, so less work, getting better results. In a stress state, you're working harder. And so just thinking of an analogy, it is like getting from A to B in your car, but having the handbrake on. So you will definitely get from A to B with your handbrake on. It just is really hard and it will do a bit of damage. So just taking that little bit of time back and effort and bringing yourself back into that green brain to get, the results of bringing in that wellness. Mindfulness in eating. So let's move this on to mindfulness in eating. How do you create mindfulness in eating? Well, this is a place where we are completely expected to multitask. There's so much going on, so much information all the time. But mindfulness in eating is taking the time to actually prepare for one and sit down with your meal. So, your eating actually starts with your eyes. So just take time to create and prepare your meal. Free yourself from distractions as well. So this is a great, lots of people don't use their table. It's usually got a lot of things on it, but it's a really good excuse to just clear it off and have that sacred space for your meals. Your body then knows what you're doing. You have ample time, turning off your TV, leave your phone behind as well, put it on charge and come back and grab it when you're finished. Focus your full attention on the meal and chew with purpose. So sometimes we don't even chew till we need, it's a really good thing. Like some people chew for an X amount of times, but chew with purpose. And while you're plugged in and paying attention and focusing on the enjoyment of this meal, you have the ability to stop when you're full rather than when the plate is finished or other external things. Here is thoughts for food. So next time you sit down, a mindfulness activity could be to take a moment and think about it. Really look at the different ingredients that went into making this food. What are they? What would it involve to actually make this food? Is there hunting? Is there farming, growing, or processing required? What kind of equipment and space is needed to prepare all these ingredients that you need? How long does it take? Would you need any help if you were to create this meal for yourself? So acknowledging the collective effort that goes into the food and nurturing yourself with a connection to where the food has actually come from. So thinking not about the supermarket, but thinking about the actual soil and what it takes to produce it. And then, giving thanks, the gratefulness for every part of the food. Doesn't she look grateful? That's good. And eating mindfully does happen with friends and family, and it also increases connectedness. It is a wonderful thing to share food with loved ones around a table, just connecting with people and really enjoying the foods and things that you're eating. Intuitive eating is another branch. So taking it even further, you've got these two wonderful dietitians with decades worth of experience who have researched and lots of experience in the field of a particular type of eating called intuitive eating. It's really plugging into yourself and knowing what you want to eat and getting the nourishment from that and choosing exactly what you need without external things or influences telling you, because you are the one that knows. They both had the same ethos separately, or the same thoughts in their practice, and then they came together and started practicing. And this idea was first established with them. So the people are Evelyn Tribolo and Elise Rest. That was first established in 1995. And with this the roots of this anti-diet concept is dating all the way back to the 1970s. So we had like the low fat complex carbohydrates coming in the 80s and all that sort of thing. But this is way back then, just listening to the body. The first book that they had was published in 2012, and it's had many revisits and republications of it. So they keep adding to it. It's a great book, and it's something that I did use to develop the slides today. It is used throughout lots of dietetics practices, and it is heavily weighted with the health at every size principles, if you've ever heard of the Hayes principles. So to be very clear, it is not a diet. It actually says in the intuitive eating title that it's an anti-diet book, but it is a framework to build healthy habits, and it includes 10 principles to guide your eating. But honestly, letting go of those fad diets and the rules that you think you have in your mind. Intuitive eating and the diet mentality. So really just letting you know, like society's led us to believe that this word good is synonymous with us being on a so-called diet or restricting what we really want in our eating. So as I talked before about the diet cycle in Nutrition Basics, we know that diets do lead us to an increase in weight, and that has been studied by a twin study, taking twins of identical genetic material and just following them over their life, and then looking at the BMIs of the two twins and having somebody who has been on diets or restricted eating having a higher BMI than the twin that hasn't. So yeah, anything in the name of restricting or dieting perpetuates weight stigma and weight cycling. So it's increasing risks of disordered eating and harms your connection and relationship with your food and the mind and the body. So knowing, trusting what you want and eating. Just a little bit on that. It's, I suppose, another thing that I come through in the literature is like when toddlers come around and, you know, the parents are following them like crazy, telling them that they have to eat this or you need that or whatever. But really, in essence, toddlers are so connected with their intuitive eating that they only eat what they need. Sometimes they sit down to a meal and they're like, yeah, I'm not hungry. Much to the dismay and disappointment of the parents. They're like, no, come on. But if you followed them around, it actually equals out. They eat what, of course it was going to do that, right in the middle of the important part into the intuitive eating. Okay, we're back. All right. 10 principles of intuitive eating. All right. This is directly from that, the book of intuitive eating and a rejection of the diet mentality. So number one, what I've talked about is throw away any ideas from diet books, magazine articles, and the latest detox or weight loss craze. Just get rid of it. Unfollow unqualified diet experts on Instagram or Instagram influencers or anything that gives you false hope of quick and easy permanent weight loss, because it's always at a cost and it's never permanent. It's got that yo-yo diet effect. Let go of previous ideas and carry forward with you this GLP-1 medication and lean into it and forget the rest. This is what you need for success. Just letting go of any of the food rules. I can't eat this. I don't want to eat that. Just let it all come back in. You can get angry as well. They tell you to get angry at that like diet culture that is so ingrained in society. And I won't even get on my soapbox and talk about how well ingrained it is within society. But, you know, encouraging you to go on the latest craze of weight loss. But I suppose we think about it like the diet is the failure. We don't buy a bicycle pump, go to the park with the tire of the bike that needs pumping, and you know, you hear all the air coming out of the tire and the tire doesn't bump up. We don't say that tire has a problem. You know, it's the pump, it's the diet. It is not us that fails. So just holding on to that, you are not doing anything wrong. The diets fail you. Don't linger any beliefs. Don't let any lingering beliefs that there is a new or better diet or food plan lurking around the corner. So just this will prevent you from rediscovering intuitive eating and just giving yourself permission. So honor your hunger. Now, this is a tough one because we are on GLP-1 medications, but it is really important to keep your body fed, particularly with adequate energy and carbohydrates. A lot of the time, there's a fad diet that comes in that tells you carbohydrates are no good and to cut them out, and that will have your weight loss. But it is so important to have those carbohydrates. So allowing all types of food, you can see in my picture there, everything has a space. If you don't allow yourself to have them, your body can trigger, you know, if you don't eat, your body triggers a primal drive to eat and overeat. So that's the binging. So avoid reaching excessive hunger. Like even if you know, getting along in your journey, once you do get hungry, make sure, just stay on top of the hunger. Sometimes making sure that you sit down to eat and get enough kilojoules in there, because once the hunger does take a hold, it's, you know, all the ideas of moderation and, you know, considerate eating, conscious eating are fleeting and irrelevant because our body really it's hungry and it needs to eat. So learn to biologically trust and rebuild the trust with yourself in choosing food that is enjoyable and nourishing. So get rid of tactics that will avoid the hunger cue. So, you know, some people drink water or have a distraction or something to try and let that hunger be stuffed down. Same with emotions. We need to use that as a cue and do it. So really good tip there is high carbohydrates early in the morning to start that brain. It helps with mental clarity because that's what our brain uses to to do its work. If we start the day with a skipped breakfast, or we don't eat until later in the day, it does make it harder. It's that handbrake on in the red brain. So making peace with the food, yes, call a truce and give yourself unconditional permission just to eat. If you tell yourself you can't, shouldn't, or you won't have a particular food, it can lead to feelings of deprivation and then uncontrollable cravings. I'm going to give you an example of myself. So, you know, I don't know if anybody's familiar with Lent, but it's 40 days before Easter. And I think I was back in uni, so I was quite young, 20 years ago or so. I said, I'll give up chocolate. But I could not tell you how many times I was thinking about that one particular food. I would notice when people had it, how many times they had it during the week. And I actually don't even know if I fully recovered from the deprivation I had there. And I definitely ate way more and binged way more than I would have over that whole 40 days when I was able to eat it again. So it's really about, you know, the brain is powerful. It tells you something's forbidden and you'll eat more than you ever have. Same with when you're about to step onto the latest, please, the satisfaction. So now is principle 6, and I love that it's back for this because I love this. It's really important, this hunger scale, if you haven't ever seen it. So to honor your fullness, you need to trust it and give yourself the food. Listen for your body signals. So you will have a new normal with your GLP-1 medications as well. So sometimes you'll sit down to a meal that you'll easily have normally eaten, but this hunger scale will help you stop when you're comfortably full. So the hunger scale, it goes from 1 to 10. So 1 is an absolutely starving, you're lightheaded and you're ravenous. You are too far gone, I would call that. And then obviously the 10 is the other way and you are absolutely stuffed. You're starfishing on the floor after Christmas dinner. So those two extremes are somewhere where we don't want to be. We want to be closer to the middle. So we always want to stay within a 4 to a 6. And that might be news because we might think, oh, really? We're just beginning to feel hungry. That's how you should feel. Those meals should take you through. And if you start to feel hungry, you have the next opportunity to have something nutritious or fulfilling in any way to eat. So start eating from 1 to 10 when you're at a 4 and you stop at a 6. And it's just pausing in the middle of your eating and just saying, how do I feel? And also knowing that you can have this food again you don't have to finish everything that's on the plate. Another thing is that you have paid for this food, and whether it goes inside your body or it goes into the bin, you can put it in the fridge as well. But it is gone. So, you know, you can put it in the fridge for leftovers or something like that, and that is great as well. But to eat when you're not hungry is treating yourself like a rubbish bin because you do not need to have those foods go in. So pausing in the middle and stopping. Coping with your emotions with kindness. Okay, this is a wonderful one. Firstly, recognize that food restriction, it does affect you both mentally and physically. It's very much entwined, and it can, in and of itself, figure a loss of control over eating. Can feel like emotional eating. So find ways to comfort, nurture, and resolve your issues. It's like things that make you feel good. Maybe it's a bath, maybe it's talking to a friend, maybe it's going for a walk to process and just coming back, you just feel so much better. Anxiety, loneliness, boredom, anger, they're all emotions that we experience throughout life. Each has its own trigger and its own appeasement. So food won't fix feelings. It may comfort in the short term, distract from pain, or even numb you, but food will never solve the problem. So ultimately, it's about dealing with the source of an emotion with kindness. They're there for a reason. Respecting your body. I love this, and it's something that I always love and treasure because you have to love the skin you're in. You accept your genetic blueprint. So thinking of a person with a size 8 shoe, they wouldn't realistically try and squeeze themselves into a size 6 shoe because it's futile. We're not going to get it. And it's hard to have that expectation of our body as well. So respect it where it is along your journey, your body right now. And you will feel so good about who you are because it is amazing. It can do so many things. The movement, you know, it gets you from here to there. And if you reject, you know, it does say reject diet mentality, and have a realistic and view of body size and shape and recognize, you know, all bodies deserve dignity on this. So just loving where you're at, and it is amazing how wonderful you will feel. Treating that body really, really well. So 9, movement and feel the difference. So it's not about the kilojoule deficit you'll get from militant exercising. It's getting active and feeling the difference. It's shifting your focus. So it's how the body moves and how the body feels after it moves, rather than getting this kilojoule deficit to result in the X amount of weight loss, because, you know, it's not something we can control or anything like that. It is just the body, and we focus on the feeling. So if you focus on how you feel, such as getting energized from an activity or a workout, it will make the difference of getting you out of bed for a brisk walk in the morning to come back and feel alive and awake, or hitting the snooze bar because you just, you know, you don't want to get out. But yeah, it's feeling the difference in your body, and yeah, it's a really important step. Last principle is honor your health through gentle nutrition. So remember, it's not about eating perfectly, and you don't have to eat perfectly to feel good. Making choices that honor your health and your taste buds, so they make you feel good. Okay, so you won't automatically become nutrient deficient from one snack, one meal, or a complete day of eating unhealthily. It's just not what happens. Health matters, as you know, what you eat over time is that matters, and it's all about progress and not perfection. So you can see in there they've got chocolate and all sorts of like stuff. I don't know, sometimes they get told you can't have juice and things like that, but just bring it in. So what do? That's the 10 principles. The urge to eat comes. What do? You pause, acknowledge it. Stop and take time out. Think about your hunger with a curious mind. Oh, what do I really need? What do I want? I can have whatever I want. You can think about, am I hungry? Or am I stressed, bored, or tired? Because those things come up and you might want to eat as well. There are many different reasons why we crave or eat food. Maybe it's just a celebration, or maybe you've seen an ad on TV. Really think about it. And the key to intuitive eating and mindfulness is just avoid eating on autopilot. So an example of this is going to the supermarket, passing the checkout, and you see there's the chocolate bars. So you have got yourself one, and before you go from there to the cart, it's disappeared. There's been no enjoyment. It's gone. And there's some associated feelings with that. So just really thinking about that, you still got the kilojoules of it. So it means taking that chocolate bar to somewhere that you really enjoy and eating it mindfully and savoring it. So after doing all of these things about what should I do, the key is not eating on autopilot. And after doing it, if you find that you are not hungry, that is okay, because you can still eat if you want to. Give yourself permission, because then you are eating mindfully and you will still get the enjoyment out of it, and you will be more present, and you will feel those kilojoules, and you will enjoy every morsel of that chocolate bar as you eat it. So that is your mindful eating. How the brain works. So we're going to move on to a little thing to help us get where we want to be. So the brain is amazing, and our thoughts, they attach to either positive, negative, or neutral. So in mindfulness, we want to be neutral, but the body, it thinks of things. We have beliefs, and then we have our ideas and evidence that we find within the world. So if we have our belief and our evidence is contradicting, we have a problem there. We want to either change our belief, or we just ignore that evidence, because otherwise we'll have this thing called cognitive dissonance, and that's a big word, but it's mental stress, and it's because our belief is contradicting what evidence we have. So using this, we have a really important and helpful part of using our brain. So our thoughts can also in this way be self-fulfilling. They're such a powerful tool. So using that beautiful brain and giving ourselves some mantras. So that if none of that made sense, it's about putting the thought into the body and the mind, and the body will follow. So you've got this thought. Great examples of these mantras are: I eat good food and I take care of my body. I am aware of my body and I appreciate what it does for me. I sleep well and take time out to have fun. I let go of food rules. I love this one. And I eat when I'm hungry. I am mindful of my emotions and complete useful strategies to release them. And I stay well hydrated so my body and mind perform at its highest potential. So these are wonderful statements that you can put anywhere. Write them on your mirror. You can have a notice board or something like an ideas board. or even on your fridge, pantry, something like that in the kitchen where you see, a beautiful picture and just write the words on top of it. The brain starts and the body follows. So resources for today, there's lots of resources for websites that can help you with mindfulness. Intuitive eating, that's where I got the 10 principles from, and they're the lovely ladies, the registered dietitians. Calm, Insight Timer, and Smiling Mind are all lovely apps. They all start really funny. They're like, breathe in, breathe out. And it just puts you in a nice frame of mind. The Happiness Trap is Russ Harris, and he started the mindfulness. It's about stop struggling and just accepting emotions. And then, you can find so many on podcasts. So that little purple signal is a podcast. And I listen to Mindful in Minutes, but there's lots of different ones that you can, it's a 10-minute meditation most mornings or nights. And it puts me in a right frame of mind. If I'm stressed or I need a bit of time out from study or something like that, that's what I'll use. In the moment, a great practice to get you back from being out of the moment is using the senses and getting into the place of where you are. 5 things I can see, 4 things I can hear, 3 things I can touch, 2 things I can smell, and 1 I can taste. So if I still have you, I'd love to do a little 5-minute raisin activity. I feel like it's gone for a long time and I'm so sorry, but there's so much to it and I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have your raisin or small piece of food, please stay. And we'll just go through this together. If you don't want to stay, that's fine. You can come back and do it another time. And I am so sorry that I've taken the whole time, but we've had a couple of glitches here. Practical tips to take away. If you're hungry, give yourself unconditional permission to eat. Detox yourself on Instagram and Facebook from influencers spruiking the next top diet. Plug in and pay attention to hunger and satiety and use that hunger scale and try to do something mindfully every day. So, if you've got your, I'm up to questions, but what I'll do is this raisin exercise. So grab the raisin and I'll do some prompts, okay? So if you've got your piece of food, take the object and put it in your hand, holding it in the palm of your hand, or take it in your fingers and twist it around between your finger and thumb. Pay attention to actually seeing this food. Look at the food very carefully, as if you had never, ever seen such a thing before. Again, turning it over in your fingers and exploring the texture between your fingers. Examine the highlights, where the light shines, the darker hollows and the folds. Let your eyes explore every single part of it as if, again, you've never seen such a thing before. And if while you're doing this, any thoughts come to mind about what a strange thing are we doing? What is the point of this? I don't even like raisins. Note them as thoughts, bringing your awareness back to your object. Now smelling the object, taking it and holding it beneath your nose, and in the in-breath, notice the smell of it. And now take another look at it. Now slowly take the object up to your mouth, maybe noticing how your hand and arm know exactly where to put it. Perhaps notice that your mouth is watering as it comes up. Now gently place the object in your mouth, noticing how the mouth receives it without biting it. Just explore the sensation of having the object in your mouth. And now when you are ready, very consciously take a bite into it and notice the taste as it releases. Slowly start chewing it. Notice the saliva in your mouth, the change of consistency in the object you've chosen. And then when you are ready to swallow, seeing if you can detect the intention to swallow as it comes up, so that even this is experienced consciously before the actual swallowing happens. And then finally, seeing if you can follow the sensation of swallowing it and sensing it move all the way down through your stomach, and realizing now that your body is exactly 1 raisin heavier. All right, I did rush that a bit, but I'd love to hear how you feel. So that is the end of today's webinar. Thank you so much for coming. I hope you've enjoyed it. And please do pop any of the questions. I've got my colleague here helping me. He's going to send through questions that you have. I'll give you a few minutes just to pop your questions in there. Give us any feedback about how you felt about your raisin, or anything that you have. Just 1 minute. Okay, a good question here. Do you have any suggestions for how we balance eating and the food we need whilst honouring the hunger when we can go days without being hungry since being on injections? That is a very, very good question. So balancing eating the food and honouring the hunger. So it's about really, it's really tough. So it's about staying on top of hunger, and I know there'll be some symptoms in there as well that might be nausea and make you feel like you don't want to eat. But balancing that is just, I suppose, really letting go of the food rules and what you can and can't eat is really the main basic thing. The balanced eating, I suppose, in one way, you've got the added benefit of not having those junk food, the cravings and the head noise and stuff gets a bit muted with your injections. So it kind of, without even having to think about it, you'll go for the healthier option. But it is really about remembering that food will give you the energy and the nutrients you need. So you'll start to feel stuff like fatigue, a lack of mental clarity and things like that that will come from not getting the balance of food right. And it's about just, main thing to balance is just, not feeling like food can hold you back either. You can go out for lunch and dinner and whatever it is with people, and not feel restricted or like the food police are in there. So I hope that really makes sense, but it's just about the freedom of just having whatever you want and making sure that you definitely keep eating. I know sometimes it's a tendency to skip meal. You get to the end and you're like, well, I haven't eaten all day. Maybe I'll just, eat it all now, but it's still not good for the body. So just making sure you give it opportunities through the day. I am still at my goal weight. I hope that answered it. You let me know if I need to follow up. But also you can email as well. I'm at my goal weight, but still losing weight. If I stop the injections, will I regain the weight I've lost? Well, it's about just balancing it. So depending on how you have lost the weight, if you've done it nice and slowly, it's more likely that you're not lost a lot of muscle mass and that you can just titrate back. So not going from there to cold turkey, it's a titration. And maybe you can just maintain without having the support of the injections. But if you do, there might be a small maintenance dose. But it's just about working about this is perfect for you, really, and trusting yourself and letting that, all the food come back in and not being afraid of it plugging into your hunger and things like that. But my suggestion would be to just titrate back and see how you go. cold turkey probably wouldn't be a good thing, but not definitely you will need it, but yeah, it will be a process to figure it out. And that is it. So thank you so much for joining us. I look forward to seeing you. Any further support you need, like I mentioned, please contact or reach out to us on contact@apex.au. Dietitians, physiologists, exercise physiologists, physiotherapists, psychologists and doctors are there. We'd love to support you in any way we can if you need it. And I'll love to see you. Our webinars actually are coming on once a month now, and next one will be food and mood. Looking forward to presenting that. And if you have any suggestions or anything, come onto the Facebook group and let us know. I'd love to hear any stories or supports or whatever, any mindfulness that you've done over the month. So yeah, keep in contact. I'd love to hear from you, get to know you more, and I'll see you next month.